Stu, thanks for joining us. I guess the obvious place to start is coming out the back of Saturday's cracking point up in North Wales. How have the squad come out of the game, especially Nick Tavares picked up a knock? How are we looking ahead of the trip down to Kent?
Yeah, Nick won't be fit. I spoke to Ellie this morning. It's not as bad as what we initially thought, but we're probably still looking a week to 2 weeks max regarding Nick. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but it's just one of those things.
Cool. And anyone else likely to make the squad, or anyone else with knocks out of Saturday?
Mehdi potentially will come back into the squad. He's been nursing a bit of a knock, so hopefully he should be available for selection come Tuesday night.
Cool. And obviously we know the situation that Dover certainly started the season in, but it's been tough going for them. I think they're on a run of 8 straight defeats, but you know, this, as you said, is the National League, and it's a very, very tough experience regardless. What do you expect from Dover tomorrow night tonight?
I think they're very competitive. They've been competitive in all their games. I think I watched them against Torquay, and they were the better team, and they conceded in the losing goal in the 90th minute. Same with Halifax, the previous game before that. They lost 3-1, but it was 1-1 all the way up to like the 78th minute, and then Halifax scored 2 quick goals. When you get stuck in a little bit of a rut like that, the confidence is hard, and you do make those individual errors that cost you, and it seems to cost you. You make a slight error and it's in the back of your net. So look, this league it's very relentless, and it can do that to you. But they're a good team. They're well drilled. Andy Hessenthaler's an experienced manager at this level, and he's doing everything he can to make them solid. They've gone back to playing 4-1-4-1, and it's made them solid, and they're hard to break down. They're in every game.
Yeah, I mean, I note, though they're on this losing run, they've scored in each of those last 6 games, and they're quite similar to us, I guess, in the sense that they've got some very young squad. They've got some academy products from pro clubs. So, you know, this looks, I guess, tougher perhaps on paper than it seems. And I guess another question, psychologically, you know, most games this season we go in as the underdog. You know, going up to Chesterfield and Wrexham and goodness knows what else, even at home. Tomorrow night is different. And as a squad, how do you manage that, I guess, pressure, expectation that I guess we're going there expecting, certainly from a fan's perspective, to get 3 points?
I think in the National League, it's never easy to expect to go get 3 points. You've got to go there. We've got to earn the right. You know, you do need little bits of luck in both boxes in this league. I think we'll be well prepared going there. Obviously, we've been away to Wrexham. It's a long journey back, and then to come back, recover, and then go to Dover, you know, that does have an impact on the squad. But we'll have a game plan. We'll be set up in a way that we feel that we can go win the game. And every game we go into, no matter who we play, Wrexham, Dover, Stockport, all of them, we always go into the game trying to win the game of football. We don't go into a game to think, oh, let's get a point. We always go into a game to win it. And we always set the team up in a way that we can try and win a game of football. So it'd be no different to Dover, to the way that we prepped for Wrexham. But we don't really look at league positions, us as a squad and as management team. We look at the team that we set them up to how to try and win the game and who we're up against. And they're a good side. They're very competitive, and it's going to be a very difficult game.
And hot on the heels of Dover, the relentless nature of the National League doesn't stop as we welcome Stockport on Saturday. I mean, that's going to be another very, very tough test. Have you had much of a chance? Obviously, the BBC game last week was probably a good insight, but have you seen much of Stockport?
No, I haven't really watched much from yet. We try and go a game at a time. The minute that the game finished against Wrexham, we're back on the coach, we're prepping, and we're watching. Me and Matty are watching Dover on the way home from the game, because it's a long journey, so we had time to watch them back on the way back. We haven't really turned our attention to Stockport. It's all focused on Dover at the minute, but we know that, you know, they've got a top manager in place now, and you can see right away in their results, like, they didn't just beat Bolton, they were a better team against Bolton, so they didn't win lucky. It wasn't like one of those lucky cup ties that they won the game. They were a better team within the game. They conceded 2 sloppy goals, which they'll be very disappointed in, but other than that, they were the better team for the 90 minutes plus the extra time. So
yeah, it's as we said, it's relentless, and it doesn't get any easier. So let's just take a bit of a, you know, sort of a bit of a rain check there, and say, you know, we're sort of 15, 20 odd games into the season. let's just kind of go back to the summer when, you know, yourself and Matt would have sat down off the back of what was a very, very difficult season last year with results and obviously the situation that led to that. This side, and we've spoken about it as fans on the Stones cast, I think has a very obvious identity and a way of playing football. Was that always the intention with you and Matt to play in this style? Were there other, you know, ways of playing to maximise your chances of surviving in the National League?
Look, this is something me and Matty really strongly believe in. We believe that there are different styles that you can stay in games and play, but we believe that we're a possession-based team now, and it gives you a chance of winning games, not just staying in games. And when you're just staying in games and you're playing a little bit on the break and you're playing very direct, the luck element comes into it. You're reliant on them making an error, but you scoring a goal out of nothing. The way we're playing at the minute and the way we've played, and we started playing like it. If you remember the Dagenham game at home, right at the back end of last season, we were 3 or 4-0 down at half time, and we went in at half time and we made that decision and said, let's be brave now. We've got our patterns of play slowly into you now. Go play, be brave on the ball. And if you see we come out in the second half, I think we conceded 1 goal, but we played really well and was excellent. And from then on in, we went to Chesterfield, picked a point up, and then we went to Woking last game of the season and we won 4-2. And pre-season with the lads, it gave us a real good chance to really get our patterns of play in. And I've heard it a lot, and you hear it a lot in football, a plan A and a plan B. We just look at it that every team you go into, that it's not whether you have a plan A or a plan B, it's how they're going to set up and how they're going to play, and then how you adapt within that game to how they come out. Do they high pressure? Do they drop off? Do they sit in a low block? To how we play, and we've got patterns of play set up for different scenarios within games. And look, the lads aren't always going to execute it perfectly to how we come into games, because the contact time's not enough to really get it driven into the lads. But if you look game by game this season, we're getting better and better, and slowly but surely it's getting into the lads. So look, we're really impressed with the lads. They've bought into it, and you can see that game by game we're getting better and better, and we're very competitive. We've been competitive in all the games this season.
You mentioned Saturday around you set a points total for the squad, and we're kind of on track with that. But are we as far forward? Are we further forward than perhaps you thought we'd be at this stage of the season, sort of approaching halfway?
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're 15 games in. I think we've got 18 points. We're 8 points away from the relegation zone, with a game in hand on some teams. So look, we are ahead. I think it's a relentless division. You've just got to take it game by game, and it'll always be the points at total that comes to at the end of the season. I think we've put ourselves in a really good position to kick on.
And in terms of recruitment, we've seen a number of signings over the past few weeks. Some of them loan, the likes of Jaden Mundell-Smith, who's come in, I think, full time. In terms of that recruitment, are there certain characteristics, a style of player that you and Matty are looking for?
Yeah, each position that we have within our shape has attributes that we need. We always look to make sure that we bring in the right characters into the group, that they fit in, that the group doesn't become unsettled. And when we're bringing in players, we don't look at we're bringing in players to replace players. We look at that we're always bringing in players to improve the group and help the group to get to the next level. And I think that's happening. Like you said, you've seen with Mundell-Smith, it's his third game now. He's coming and he's growing. He's starting to understand what we want from him, and he's starting to learn who he's playing with and that. So I think all the lads that we've brought in have done really well.
Yeah, fantastic. And just moving away from the squad and then just trying to understand a little bit more about your role and the management team's role. Just give us a little insight into kind of, you've mentioned already about watching Dover's games back on the coach back from Wrexham, but what does a typical week look like for you, prepping the team, training the team, and how much of a burden does, when you've got a midweek game and you're doing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, make?
It's always tough when it's Saturday, Tuesday, because on a week when we have a spell, we don't have a game midweek. On a Tuesday, me and Matty does all the clipping. He's good on the computer. He does all the clipping, and we talk about it. We're on the phone constantly talking about how the opposition set up, what points to clip to show the lads. And then on a Tuesday, we'll have a video session, just 15 minutes, nothing too crazy, because they've been at work. And if you go on too long, then you lose them. So We understand that, but we do need to get that into them, and it is key. So that's the normal prep that on a Tuesday you do a little bit of video session, then you go out onto the training field, you show them visually on the training field, and we'd work through our tactics. And then on Thursday you get another session again to go through it out on the training field. But when it becomes midweek, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday on the way down to Dover, that's when we'll be doing our video session to them. So they get a very limited time to get it into them. And it's trying not to overload them too much as well. We've got to get that fine balance. And I think we've got that right at the minute, that balance of not overloading them with too much information.
And the squad is clearly responding and buying into the style of play and the way we're going about it. How far, and this is an age-old discussion at the National League, and obviously tomorrow night with Dover, you end up with two of the few part-time teams playing. How far can this squad, how far can the club go under this current operating model being part-time?
It's hard to put a finger on how far you can go with the part-time model in a full-time league, but we believe if you put the work in, like the management team do and the players do, like the players are part-time, but what people don't see, on a Monday they do an extra session. Rachel, our S&C coach, she'll send out a session for the lads that they go do on their own in the gym. On a Wednesday they're doing like recovery session from the Tuesday session, and then on a Thursday they train with us, and then on a Friday they're watching clips that we've sent out to them as well. So they're constantly preparing right for the games, and it's kind of the model that we looking into players that still want to be footballers and actually have that mentality that they want to still be a full-time footballer and act like a full-time footballer. And I think we've got that balance within our group with our senior players and the young, hungry lads that are coming through. I think just as a football club, I think we're moving in the right direction. I touched a little bit on it on Saturday with your interview after about the fans and all of us together. We've all got to stick together. We're going to have a bad spell in the season. It happens to every team at this level. Like we touched on it, how Grimsby had and how Torquay did last year. We will have it. We've just got to make sure that we all stick together and we're all on the same page and we're all fighting for the same cause, and that's to stand this league. The fans have been outstanding. The atmosphere at the Barnet game at home, how hostile it was, and even waiting around for the Barnet to come off the pitch. That's what we need. That's what it takes. We want teams not wanting to come to Wealdstone, wanting to turn up, and it's everyone calls us Tin Pot. That's down to them what they want to call us. But we've just got to make sure that we all stick together and we all keep working hard. And if we keep working hard, we get the results, and we're getting the results at the minute through that, just through sheer work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that's really stood out for me so far this season is the impact that we have had on other teams. A lot of teams, Wrexham fans Saturday, were very complimentary about us as a team, although they were in the melting pot about their own performance. But do you know what? Like you come into this season, you're kind of on the back foot a little bit because of being part-time and what have you. But actually just making an input and causing a few little ripples in this division, I think, is a massive achievement. So, I mean, you've clearly seen the reaction that the fans have had over the last few weeks. So, everyone's behind you in the squad, and long may this continue. No,
definitely. Look, it's like what we were saying earlier about going to these teams. We go there with a game plan to try and get something from the game, rather than going there and thinking, we're going to play Wrexham, let's just camp in our half and play. I think we went there, and if you probably looked at the possession stats, we probably had the most possession in the game. It does frustrate the crowd. It silences 8,000, and our fans, you can hear 194, I think it was, outsung 8,000 fans, which is incredible. And I think every game we've gone to, we went to Notts County, same again. I think there was 5,500, 6,000 there. All you could hear was our fans. But I think it helps the way we play on the pitch, silence their fans, and then our fans just keep going, and they sing, to be fair, from minute 1 to the 95th, 96th, and it does drive the team on it. It has a massive impact on the team on the pitch, massively. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the highlights from the official Wrexham channel, but watching that, you'd have thought only actually one team was playing.
No,
literally nothing from us in the first half.
Yeah, look, it's you never ever get a true reflection when you watch highlights and stuff like that. And that's the thing that you get sometimes. If you was at the game and you saw the game, we probably had close to the best chance. George makes a great save from Hayden, header, which is a good chance. He's powerful, but Reece Brown's header at the end, and our goal was disallowed offside. It's so close. Like on other days, that gets given. It was so close. It was great play, and I think that was the biggest thing. If you look at Wrexham, they didn't open us up. They probably had 2-3 chances within the game. They didn't open us up at any given stage, looking down the barrel of our goal. And I think we probably created just as good as chances as them, which is huge credit to the lads. Because it's not easy. You go there with a game plan, and we do play possession-based football. To go there and actually execute it in front of 8,500 is unbelievable. Especially when you've got the likes of, you've got a young team at times. You know, it takes a lot of courage to go do that.
Yeah, it does. Actually, you saying that and kind of just jumping into, again, that style, that identity of playing. I think Conor McAvoy has been what you've just referenced there. There was a moment at the start of the second half. They had a little bit of a 10-minute spell, and you could tell the crowd were starting to get, their backs up and get behind them. And there was a couple of times where I think Conor in particular, under pressure, it could have been the obvious thing just to launch the ball down, but he still wanted to play football. And that was so refreshing to see. I know it gives some of our fans heart palpitations sometimes, but launching it clear, it's just coming straight back otherwise. So it is really refreshing to see.
Yeah, I agree, Adam, 100%. In the first half, if you look at, I think it was 8 minutes into the game, they pressed us well. Conor got caught on the ball. But because we had men 10 yards apart, we can go press it and hunt the next one. And that's the key. Everyone's within 10, 15 yards apart. So when you're passing it, we're passing the ball to move the opposition. We're not just passing it for the sake of it, because at this level, people fill gaps. So we're passing it. And sometimes you have to pass it 10 times before you can go forward and open up and find that gap. And we did it perfectly at times on Saturday, where Reece Brown got beyond their midfield and he could really go hurt them. Look, it's something we really believe in different games. If teams come under high pressure, there's nothing wrong with going down the sides of them because the space is there. So we have different, like I said to you before, it's not a plan A or plan B. It's all dependent on once that game starts. We have our initial plan of action, how we start a game like we will on Tuesday night. But once a team comes out and if they set up differently, we've got our patterns that will affect the game in different ways.